Chapter 11. The Lumiere-Desetoilescasino. Connor and Bree made it to the train station at St. Pancras a little before 6 o'clock that morning. They hadn't slept all night, but neither showed any indication of being tired. They were living on adrenaline and determination. Connor had never run away before, but now he understood why Jack and Goldilocks preferred a life on the run. Despite the circumstances, it had been a very exciting day. Bree hadn't stopped smiling since they left the south bank. I'm friends with the lion statue, I'm friends with the lion statue, she's saying to herself over and over again. They gawked over a large map over the ticketing counters and tried to make sense of all the colorful lines showing which train traveled where. It doesn't look like there's anything direct to Monte Carlo, Connor said. We'll have to stop in Paris where that thick blue line ends, then go on to the thin dotted orange line. Your knowledge of travel terminology is so impressive, Bree joked. They stood in line and zigzagged to the ticket counter with the other early morning travelers. The ticketing agent had frizzy red hair and huge bags under her eyes. She drank coffee from an enormous mug like it was water. Next, she had said. Connor and Bree approached her. 2 tickets to Paris, please, Bree said. The agent looked at them like they asked to borrow her car. Do you have a guardian or accompanying you or an accompanying minor form signed by your parents? She asked. Bree and Connor froze. Both of them had somehow forgotten that being 14 years old might set them back on this trip. We, Bree began, but nothing else came out. Connor panicked and looked around the train station for a solution. In the far corner, she saw a very elderly woman sitting in a wheelchair all by herself. Her hair was teased up in a large poof and had a full face of makeup on. She solemnly stared at the floor as she held a purse and small suitcase on her lap. We're traveling with our grandmother, Connor said. We are, Bree asked. Connor gestured to the old woman in the corner. I mean, we are, Bree continued. Stupid me. Make it 3 tickets to Paris, she said, back at the ticketing agent. That's your grandmother, the agent asked. Yes, that's Granny Pearl, Connor said. She doesn't speak a lick of English, so she asked us to buy the tickets. Connor energetically waved to the old one. Just one more minute, Gran. Pearl, as they christened her, was rather confused as to why 2 young strangers were waving to her in the middle of a train station, but decided to wave back with a friendly smile. She also appeared to be a little senile, which was working in their favor. The ticketing agent shrugged and checked the ticket options. The only availability we have for 3 on the next train is a first-class compartment, she said. Great. How much, Connor asked. £200 each, the ticket agent said. Connor gulped. Boy, that's a lot of weight, he said. We'll take it. Good thing Granny Pearl gave us lots of money. He exchanged cash for the tickets and walked quickly away from the ticketing counter and toward Pearl. Bree glanced over her shoulder and saw the ticketing agent suspiciously glaring at them over a coffee mug. She's still watching us. What do we do? Bree whispered to Connor. Grab the old lady and get on the train, I guess, he whispered back. We can't kidnap an old woman. What other options do we have? Their hearts were racing. They were about to commit the biggest crime in their lives. They leaned down to the old woman and quietly spoke to her. Hello there. Would you mind doing us a favor, Connor asked. Pearl just smiled blankly at them, and he guessed correctly. She didn't speak a lick of English. Wouldn't see? She asked. What did you just say, Connor asked. I think she said, who are you? Bree asked. She's German. You speak German. Only a little bit. My real grandma was born in Germany. Ask her if she wants to go on a trip with us, Connor said. Bree licked her lips and tried translating. Would you like, need visits with uns? Pearl blinked a couple times, casually causing her head to move slightly. I think that counts as a nod. Grab her and let's go, Connor whispered. Bree grabbed the handles of Pearl's wheelchair, and they pushed her toward the security line. Pearl smiled as cheerfully as ever, clearly without the slightest clue of what's going on. They handed their ticket to the man at the security check, and he carefully looked at him. Ook would you edgefoot? Pearl told the man casually. Bree panicked and nervously burst into fake laughter. "Oh, Granny, you're so funny," she said loudly. "You've been making jokes all day." The man handed back their tickets and allowed them to move forward. "What did she just tell him?" Connor whispered Bree. "She said I'm being kidnapped," Bree whispered back. "Oh," he said, and guiltily looked down their captive. Pearl's big smile never left her face. "She's taking it very well, then." They pushed her wheelchair all the way down on the platform and boarded the car in front of the train. The train attendant folded her wheelchair and stowed it with their luggage. Connor and Bree helped Pearl out the steps and into the train and into their private first-class compartment. It was very luxurious for a pair of teenage runaways and a kidnapped old woman. It had red cushioned seats and white drapes over a large square window. They gently sat Pearl down and took the seat across from them. Connor and Bree sat very still and watched Pearl like she was a poisonous animal until the train pulled away from the station. They were convinced that any minute she might start screaming for help, but she never did. Pearl just kept on smiling and contentedly watched the land move outside her window. The train's speed gradually increased, and soon they were zooming through the English countryside on their way to Paris. Connor found a pamphlet in their compartment and looked at the map on the back of it. It was exactly like the map in the station. "So, once we reach Paris, we'll switch trains and head to Monte Carlo," Connor said. Pearl looked away from the window for a second and told him, "Ich liebe Monte Carlo." "I guess she likes Monte Carlo," Bree translated. "Okay," Connor said cautiously, and then continued with his plan. "Then, once we reach Monte Carlo, we'll try to find the LumiereDesEtoilesCasino and see if my chip means something to anyone there." Pearl turned to them again, only to say, "Ich liebe LumiereDesEtoiles." Apparently she was a big fan of the casino as well. "Why would we go into a casino when we should try to find a bank?" Bree asked. "Mother Goose said the poker chip would come in handy," he explained. "When she gave it to me, she said if I was ever in Monte Carlo, I should take it to the roulette table in the northwest corner and bet it on the black. It made no sense to me at the time, but now I think we'll find something there that'll help us. I've got a good feeling about this." The train went dark and it swooped under the English Channel, and next time they saw light there in the French countryside. France was only a couple hours from England, but once the train began decelerating into Paris, they felt it entered a completely different world. Paris made Connor and Bree feel like they were living in a painting. Every building was beautifully detailed, like it had been hand-sculpted. Many were tall and narrow with iron railings at each of their multiple windows. Soon the train arrived at the Paris station, Gare du Nord. Connor and Bree helped Pearl off the train and pushed her through the crowded station. "We need to exchange our pounds for euros," Bree told Connor. "We won't be able to buy tickets in Monte Carlo until we do." They found a currency exchange station and traded in all their pounds they had left. They proceeded to the ticketing counter and purchased tickets for the next train to Monte Carlo, and once again pretend Pearl was their grandmother to avoid any suspicion. "Would you like first class for the economy compartment, monsieur?" the Frenchman at the counter asked. "Economy is fine if it's available," Connor said. "Don't go cheap on me now, Bailey," Bree said. "Fine. First class, please," Connor grinned. "I'm going to be so grounded when I get home." Within the hour, Connor, Bree, and Granny Pearl were aboard another train enjoying another first-class cabin. It was a very long and bumpy ride, and all three of them slept as much as they could. The train stopped in 5 to 6 cities along the way, and about 6 hours had passed by the time they reached the Monte Carlo station. They gathered their luggage and Granny Pearl and headed for the exit. They stepped outside the station, and Connor and Bree caught their first sight of Monte Carlo. The city was gorgeous. A cluster of colorful hotels, resorts, and residences grew down the Monegasque hills and stretched along the ocean side. A salty smell of the ocean was all around them. A bay a little ways along the shoreline was home of hundreds of boats and yachts that bobbed in the bluest water Connor had ever seen. "So this is where postcards come from," he said in awe. It was almost impossible not to enjoy the refreshing breeze and the warm rays of the golden setting sun. Pearl hummed a cheerful tune as they pushed her along the paradisal city. They wandered aimlessly through the streets, looking for directory or sign that pointed toward the LumiereDesEtoilesCasino. However, they soon realized the whole city was made up of casinos. It's like looking for a needle in a haystack, Bree said. Why don't you look it up on your phone, Connor asked. I would, but my battery died in Paris, she said. Just when they thought their luck had run out, Pearl tugged at Connor's sleeve and pointed at a building at the end of the street. We need me at the TheLandofStories, she said excitedly. Bree and Connor were so happy they wanted to hug her, but since they still didn't know her name, they thought that might be too forward and just hugged each other instead. Brandy Pearl, you're amazing, Connor said, and they pushed her toward the casino. The LumiereDesEtoilesCasino was an enormous building with tall columns. It was topped by a vast glass dome. If it wasn't for the electric sign blanking its name, Connor wouldn't have thought it was an old town hall that would have been painted a sandy yellow to match the rest of the city. Connor and Bree had difficulty pushing Pearl's wheelchair up the steps, but they managed and then hustled inside. The casino had green marble floors and golden pillars lining the walls. A massive chandelier hung from the dome above and illuminated the sea of slot machines and card tables. There wasn't a single guest at the casino who was under the age of 80. Everyone they saw in wheelchairs, walkers, and white hair. Grandma showed other grandmas pictures of their grandchildren before taking each other's money. Old men showed off faded tattoos they had mistakenly gotten when they were younger. It was like they had stepped into a room full of pearls. No wonder why Mother Goose liked this casino so much, Connor said. I feel like we've found her natural habitat. They propped Pearl in front of a slot machine and gave her a handful of coins to keep her busy. Just as Mother Goose had described, there was a roulette table at the northwest corner. It was the only table in the casino that was completely empty. Connor and Bree walked through the crowd of senior citizens, receiving the strangest looks from them as they did. They stood out like sore thumbs. They got to the roulette table, and Connor reached into his pocket for the poker chip. The roulette dealer wore a white button-down shirt with a black vest and bow tie. He put his hand up to stop them before they said a word. Sincerest apologies, Mademoiselle and Monsieur, but this table is reserved for special chips only, the dealer said. And now, if I don't believe either of you are old enough to be in this casino anyway. Connor showed the blue poker chip. The dealer's eyes lit up. We didn't come here to gamble, Connor said, but I would like to bet this on the black. It must have been code for something because the dealer dropped his hand and raised an eyebrow at the teenagers. He looked at them shrewdly. I see, he said. 1 moment, please. He picked up the receiver of a telephone under the roulette table. Monsieur, nous quittions Nola. He said in French to whoever was on the other side of the phone, and abruptly hung up. The manager will be with you shortly. Connor and Bree didn't know whether this was good news or bad. Had the chip actually led them to something useful, or were they just going to be escorted out of the casino by the manager? A moment later, the manager of the LumiereDesEtoilesCasino met them at the roulette table. He was a tall, burly man with a thick black mustache. He wore a sharp suit and straightened his tie as he greeted them. Bonjour, the manager said. I believe I can be in some assistance. Connor showed him the poker chip. Yes, this belongs to our grandmother, he said, and gestured Pearl over to the slot machine. Pearl had proven to be a great cover thus far, so Connor figured she couldn't hurt them here. May I? The manager asked and opened a hand. Connor handed the chip to them, and the manager pulled a magnifying glass out with his lapel and examined the ridges at the side of the chip. Very well, please follow me, he asked, walking away from the roulette table. Connor and Bree exchanged looks, each wanted the other to go first. Finally, Connor followed the manager, with Bree right at his heels. The manager led them through the casino into an elevator, politely holding the door open. The elevator had a button for each of the buildings 5 floors above them. But once the door shut, the manager pressed several at once, as if he were hitting a secret code. When he was finished, the elevator took Connor and Bree by surprise. It started to travel down to an unmarked level. "Are you enjoying Monte Carlo?" the manager asked casually as the elevator descended. "Yep," Connor peeped nervously, terrified of where they must be going. Finally, the elevator came to a stop and the doors opened. "Right this way," the manager said, and escorted them out of the elevator. To their amazement, Connor and Bree found themselves at a top level of a gigantic underground courtyard. It was like they were looking at a 4-story cell block beneath them, but instead of prison cells, they were lined with rows of vaults. "So this is where her vault is," Connor said. "This isn't really a casino. It's a secret bank," Bree said. "Oh no, it's still one of Monte Carlo's finest casinos," the manager reassured him. "Before it was a casino, it was one of the greatest private storage facilities of hundreds of years. The building was brought into the early 1900s with the condition that it remain a working storage facility. The vaults are not rented or leased but purchased in perpetuity, like cemetery plots. So there are things inside these vaults that will never be seen again, Connor. Usually the vaults and their possessions are inherited, but occasionally we have clients who pass on before naming a benefactor," the manager explained. "And those people's valuables will just be locked away for the rest of time?" "Yes," the manager said, "but typically when people lock away something in an underground vault, it's because they don't wish to share it with the world." Connor and Bree gulped in unison. The thought of what might be behind some of those locked doors gave them chills. "Now, please follow me. I'll show you to your grandmother's vault," the manager said. They followed him down 2 flights of stairs to the 3rd highest flight. "Here we are, vault 317, the manager said, and stood to the side of the vault door. "Wait, how do you know for sure this is our vault?" Connor said. "Each chip contains a small number on the side, and I examined those before bringing you down here," the manager explained. "Each chip also acts as a key. The slides are not rich like normal chips, but have several unique grooves and dents. When you place the correct chip into the center of the vault locks and spins the handles, the vault will open. Place the incorrect chip into the lock, the chip will be destroyed when you spin the handles." "But how do you know that we're in the proper beneficiaries?" Bree asked. "How do you know we didn't steal the chip?" "That is not a problem," the manager told her. "According to the 300-year-old policy, whoever is in possession the chip is the rightful beneficiary. We give 1 chip to each client. If it breaks, it gets lost or stolen, that is not the issue. We avoid many lawsuits and robberies that way." Connor and Bree nodded their understanding. This was a very strange and serious storage facility. It wasn't a shock that Mother Goose had business here. "Now, please enjoy your time with whatever your vault possesses," the manager said. "It is also policy that I leave the room before you open it, to uphold our guarantee of the absolute privacy of your possessions. Please wait until I have entered the elevator before opening the vault. When you have finished with your possessions, please take the elevator to the main floor." He spoke so casually, even though there was nothing casual about this place. The manager walked off in the direction they had come from. They climbed up the stairs and disappeared into the elevator. "This place is intense," Connor said. "This place is awesome," Bree said. "Think about what might be in these vaults. Think about who might be in these vaults." It dawned on Connor that what most people found frightening, Bree found intriguing. And knowing this about both frightening and intrigued him. "Fingers crossed this works," Connor said. He put the chip in the vault's lock. He sprung the handles around the lock, and the door opened with a pop. A gust of air carrying mixed scents came with it. Both their hands were on the handles, but he didn't pull the door fully open. "What are you waiting for?" Bree asked. "I just thought about all the potentially amazing and horrible things that might be waiting for us inside," he said. "I know," Bree said. "Too bad my phone was dead. Otherwise, I'd take pictures." Connor grunted as he pulled the heavy door open. He and Bree stepped inside the vault and looked around in astonishment at the treasures Mother Goose had acquired over the centuries. It looked like they were in a storage room of a museum. There were large Egyptian busts, small Fabergé eggs, hundreds of rolled-up squirrels, portraits, canvases, dinosaur bones, clay pots and pans, and even a giant machine gun from World War II. Connor and Bree began searching through the items. Some of them were so outrageous they completely forgot what they were looking for. Mother Goose had labeled many of the objects, and they had a difficult time believing in their accuracy. A pair of wooden dentures had a note pinned to it said George Washington's teeth. A large rolled-up scroll was tagged, Map to Atlantis. A small envelope containing a telegram said, Amelia Earhart's forwarding address. Bree's eyes were practically bulging out of her head when she read the tag on a small goblet. You don't think this is actually the Holy Grail, do you? Connor said. She said, and raised the cup to show her. Probably not, Connor said. Bree sighed with relief and tossed the cup aside. She unrolled a portrait and laughed. Then this painting labeled the original Mona Lisa with a note from Leonardo da Vinci probably isn't real either, she said, showing it to him. That one might be legit, Connor said, remembering Mother Goose's Da Vinci stories. Bree suddenly looked like she was holding an explosive in her hands, but gently put it back where she found it. Connor was getting distracted by all the things he was finding. He had to keep reminding himself what they were looking for. I wish Mother Goose wasn't such a hoarder. It'd be so much easier to find the panpipe if she learned to recycle, Connor said. He pushed a stack of ancient maps out of the way and then leaped with excitement when he found a small wooden panpipe hidden underneath them. Bree! Get over here, look at this, Connie. I found it. You're amazing, Bree said and hugged him tightly. Does it say what notes to be played to access the portal? Connor inspected the panpipe and found a series of letters carved in the largest cylinder. It says GEFC CEGF. He said, I'm assuming those are musical notes, or maybe that's how you spell a sneeze? This is terrific! Now all we have to do is get to the Neuschwanstein Castle and find the portal, Bree said. She was so excited she kissed his cheek and then hurried out of the vault. Connor turned bright red and almost passed out. She made him feel like the most special thing in the room of treasures. Bree poked her head in the vault. Are you coming? Yeah, sorry, be right there. Connor collected the panpipe in his senses and followed her out. They shut and carefully locked the vault behind them. Connor tucked the chip safely in his pocket. They rode the elevator up to the casino and thanked the manager for assistance. As they raced down the front steps, they plotted what their next move would be. Although it was jarring to see, the sun had already set while they were inside. Before we left the train station, I took a look at the upcoming departures, Bree said. If we make it back in time, there's a 9 o'clock overnight train to Prague that stops in Munich on the way. Perfect, Connor said. There was only one thing we're missing. What's that? She asked. Pearl, he said. They turned around and dashed back into the casino. Pearl was still in the slot machine where they had left. However, she was clutching 3 buckets full of coins she had won while they were downstairs. Nicely done, Pearl, Bree said. Pearl, would you like to go on one last train ride with us? Connor said. The old woman didn't seem to understand him, but she nodded sweetly. Pearl was in it for the ride as much as they were. They brought her down the front steps of the casino and journeyed to the train station as fast as possible. They made it just in time with the last ones to buy tickets and board the train. Their compartment wasn't as nice as the other 2 had been, but they didn't mind. As long as they were on their way to Germany, everything was right in the world. The compartment door abruptly slid open to reveal an aggressive-looking train attendant. His eyes narrowed when he discovered Connor and Bree behind the door. Passports, please, the attendant demanded. Why do you need to see our passports? Connor asked. The attendant squinted his eyes at Connor's reluctance. We got on a load of 2 runaway American teenage tourists, he said. It's protocol to check the identification of every passenger on board the train who matches that description. Connor and Bree tensed up. They've come so close to getting the portal, but there was no way out of this now. Connor wondered if the train was moving too fast to jump out of it. But these are my grandchildren, Pearl said in perfect English. Connor and Bree turned their heads so quickly they almost gave themselves whiplash. He had Had she been coherent the whole time? I understand that, madame, but we still need to check the passports, the attendant said. Fine, Pearl said. Let me get my personal fun for you. She slowly went through her bag, one pin, one piece of hard candy, and one coin at a time. She pulled out wads of tissue and folded up notes and stamped letters she had forgotten in mail. The attendant grew impatient, waiting for her to retrieve the passports. Where did I put those passports, Pearl said. We were just in Monte Carlo and I put them in my pocket. Then we got back to the train and I put them in my suitcase. Yes, they're in my suitcase. If you wouldn't mind kind of waiting for another moment, I have to look at them in my suitcase. That's quite all right, madame, the attendant said. He had run out of patience for the day. I trust you. Please forgive this disturbance. He slid the door shut and they heard his footsteps travel down the train. Pearl put her belongings back to her purse and then looked up the counter at Bree. Both were staring at her with with wide eyes and open mouths as if she were on fire. So where are we off to next? Pearl asked them sweetly. Have you not been aware we've been doing this entire time? Connor asked, completely mortified. I'm old, but I'm not ancient. I can speak English too, she said. And you let us take you around the continent willingly? Bree asked, just as horrified. Yes, Pearl said. You seem like nice kids at the train station in London. I wasn't sure what was going on at first, but I knew it could be good fun once we got on the train. Connor and Bree looked at each other. Both wore the same bewildered expression. I ran away in my own adventure when I was your age, Pearl said. I fell in love with a circus clown named Fabrizio and followed him around the globe. Did you get caught, Bria? No, in 6 months of following him, I finally had the courage to tell Fabrizio how I felt. Pearl said. What happened, Connor asked. Was he creeped out because you were stalking him? Did he break your heart? No, we were married for 64 years till he died, Pearl said. Back then, action spoke louder than words. You just did our hearts told us to. These days, people act love is an island. They all want to swim into it, but no one wants to get wet. What were you two doing the train station in London? Briaz? I've been visiting my son, she said. He dropped me off, but I wasn't ready to get home yet. I think I'm ready now, though. Disappearing for 2 days in this perfect amount of time to get your children to value a bit more. I've enjoyed our little adventure together, but I'm very tired. I should probably get off the next stop and take a train home. Connor and Bree shook their heads and laughed. What's your real name anyway? Connor said. It's Elsa, she said with a big smile. But I insist you call me Granny Pearl. Connor and Bree liked the idea of having a new grandma. Well, our names are Pearl and Trev. If you don't tell me your names, I'll never have to tell you where I saw you. Connor and Bree thought the woman sitting across from them was almost too good to be true. You're so much cooler than my real German grandma, Bree said. Now, it's none of my business why you're far away from your parents, but promise me you'll stay safe when you're having this adventure of yours, Pearl told him. It's all fun and games till someone gets hurt. They nodded knowing it was a promise neither of them would keep. Alright, that is the end of Chapter 11. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to hear more from the Land of Stories of Grimm Warning and more books to come. Again, thank you so much for reading, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye!